We are here in this hotel of historic significance where the National Accord was negotiated. It happens to be the anniversary, third anniversary. Is it third or second? Third of the political arrangement known as the handshake, which we must admit did bring calm after a 6-month standoff between the Jubilee administration and the NASA coalition after the 2017 very contested elections, which were in fact nullified by the court. The 2017 election, we note, was the 5th controversial election. We have had 6 elections since 2002, and only the 2002 election was accepted as largely free and fair. This is a very bad score and should remind each one of us the dire necessity of fixing the electoral process. We therefore should be alarmed that the BBI project does not anywhere mention how we shall fix the electoral process. Their mantra has been that the problem is the winner takes it all, while we all know that elections must have winners and losers. So instead of fixing the electoral process, they're just putting additional seats for people to share at the national level. If this were indeed true, there should be similar seats at the county level, because there are elections both at the national and the county level. We are inviting Kenyans to ask why this phenomenon, according to BBI, is only at the national level, not at the county level. And the reason we guess is obvious, that the crisis at the top arises mainly because the incumbents don't want to lose power. They do not want to hand over. And this has happened in a nation we regard as the citadel of democracy. You remember the US elections. So really there is a terrible wind blowing all over the world, and which we must find ways of stopping here in Mother Kenya. The handshake has actually revealed itself not to be a bipartisan project, but to be an agreement between two people on how to share the spoils of power. It's actually a process to try and control the political destiny of Kenya. We had President Uhuru in an unguarded moment after the nullification of his election in 2017, where he said he will revisit, and we understood him to mean he will revisit the Supreme Court. And revisit he did, because before if you remember, before the repeat election, the bodyguard of the Deputy Chief Justice was attacked, and a hearing in the Supreme Court that was trying to stop the repeat elections could not get quorum because the judges got intimidated. He has thereafter revisited the judiciary. We've seen both the executive and parliament gang up to deny the judiciary adequate funding. We've seen the president refuse to appoint 41 judges who were recommended to him in accordance with the Constitution by the JSC. That standoff lives on to date. But we are now seeing revisit is not confined to the judiciary. The BBI project is revisiting the 2010 Constitution, which the president has always considered as an inconvenience. He wants to exercise unlimited power. And we know constitutions exist to limit the power a president or anybody in authority may exercise. This is a project to overthrow the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is a coup, and you'll realize that in the present time, military coups are not fashionable. So coups of overthrowing the Constitution appears to be the in thing. And by the way, this administration has already been chipping at the Constitution little by little. I've just alluded to the refusal to appoint judges, the many times this government has, through Parliament, passed unconstitutional laws which have been struck out by the courts, the many orders the executive has refused to obey, including the order to dissolve an unconstitutional parliament. The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 is actually a demonstration of the President's vengeance to revisit the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It is not an amendment bill. It actually should be titled the Constitutional Overhaul Bill, because out of the 18 chapters in the Constitution, it's amending a whopping 14 chapters. This is not an amendment, it's a total overhaul. This BBI project has been illegitimate and unconstitutional from the word go. We saw the signatures of an initiative dubbed a popular initiative being collected by the provincial administration. This in itself is unconstitutional use of public resources and machinery. We have seen MCAs getting bribed with car grants, being intimidated, and the most obvious intimidation, we have seen the Baringo MCAs, the ones who voted no, specifically, the ones among those who voted no. We have seen them under investigation, writing statements with CID, and one of them actually accused of terrorism. I do not know whether rejecting BBI is what amounts to terrorism. On further reflection, we ought not to be surprised because the President has not hidden his contempt for the Constitution and for the rule of law. Actually, this has been the signature of the Jubilee administration. Now, last week, we witnessed something, electoral violence in by-elections. And this election was significant. It is coming at a time that the state has sponsored a narrative that regional kingpins are the order of the day. We saw violence, and this violence, we believe, was deliberate and was aimed at achieving an outcome that reinforces regional kingship. And if you look at it, that is what has been. And it's a warning shot to all of us that if we stand silent and do nothing, we will not have elections as we know them in 2022. We will have those in power, mainly the President and his cronies, select for us, or rather, the President will succeed himself, or the administration will succeed itself. The regional kingship is being confined to the 5 major tribes in Kenya. The big 5, who form 65% or thereabouts of the population. We have another 38 tribes forming about 35%. What does this mean? That the 5 will perpetuate themselves at the expense of the 35? No. It just means big boys, and I'll deliberately say boys because this looks like a boys' initiative. It means the big boys from the 5 tribes will eat on behalf of their tribes, while everybody else from their tribe and the rest of the 35 watch them helpless. The message is we are not helpless. Those pushing the BBI project are less than 4,000 because all the elected leaders in Kenya, from the counties to the national, including the top civil servants in both the county and the national, are actually less than 4,000, while the Kenyan voters are over 20 million waiting to be informed in order to make informed decisions. Linda Katiba is a citizens' initiative to resist the overthrow of the Constitution, to resist the taking away of our voice as a people and our power. We urge everyone by word of mouth, by whichever method, let us come together because a people united shall never be defeated, and history has shown us that.
Thank you very much, Madam Martha, for that